Hello everyone, CompleteIndie here, and welcome. It's been a while since the last episode of Battle of Wits, but this time, after however long, we're going to be doing a deck again. I considered for a while what I wanted the first deck to be since 2023, and the end result was Ziatora the Incinerator. When initially printed in 2020's Streets of New Capenna, Ziatora was meant to synergize with the Riveteer's keyword Blitz, which actually did make an appearance a while ago when I made a deck for Jaxus the Troublemaker. Maybe go check it out. But since then, Ziatora has caught my eye for the interesting way it interacts with artifact creatures, and the treasures that Ziatora creates. Having played against one of these decks myself, it proved rather formidable. Ziatora provides the ramp and some payoffs for a designated artifact-oriented deck, and so today's focus is a $25 artifact creatures deck for Ziatora the Incinerator. To start the deck at its core, you can have just about any suite of artifact creatures. The deck obviously benefits from big creatures that can be sacrificed, but ultimately whatever artifact creatures you want to include are entirely up to you. Whenever you play these artifacts, they can also trigger effects like Ingenious Artillerist and Reckless Fireweaver, dealing damage to an opponent whenever an artifact enters under our control, and Sculpting Steel is a great include if there's a particular artifact you can see yourself wanting to have multiple copies of. If you want your creatures to deal more damage as well, Steel Overseer, Artificer's Dragon, and Chief of the Foundry provide size increases to all of our artifact creatures, while Cranial Plating and Dowsing Device are able to provide more localized benefits that scale extremely well in the late game. On top of those, Murderous Gearhulk, Darksteel Juggernaut, and Azuri's Brigade are all here as big creatures of their own right. All that matters is once you have your artifact creatures, you want plenty of ways to sacrifice them. Cards like Ayara, Widow of the Realm, Scrapyard Recombiner, and Stormclaw Rager all serving to help us dispose of the artifacts we no longer want or need, while generating value in other ways. When we sacrifice our artifacts and creatures, a whole legion of value lies in wait. Agent of the Iron Throne and Disciple of the Vault doing very similar things, damaging our opponents, while effects like Phyrexian Triniform and Ancient Stone Idol create tokens when they die. Budget replacements, the expensive and elusive and highly desired Wormcoil Engine. But we have plenty of simple ways to gain value too, effects like Monumental Corruption, Ruin Grinder, and Garruk's Uprising to draw us cards, as well as effects like Blood-Soaked Insight, Brea's Apprentice, and Myria, Scholar of Antiquity, also built a deck around her, to impulse from our library for value. Maelstrom Colossus is also a nice simple 2-for-1 spell, giving a sizable creature on top of a random spell from your library, and not all of our card draw and card advantage cares about getting new cards. Effects like Ayara Furnace Queen and Vat of Rebirth can recur our creatures, while Enraker the Traveler, Scrap Trawler, and Duretti Scrap Savant can get back our artifacts as well. We're also running Mimic Vat and Pia's Revolution as a repeatable way to save artifacts and creatures that die going forward. For our suite of removal, we have all sorts of options. Ziatora, the deck's very commander, is efficient at damage-based removal, but when we don't have Ziatora or we want to go for someone's face, we also have options in the form of Bottlecap Blast, Mage Slayer, and Kazul's Fury, while Noxious Gearhulk, Riveteer's Charm, and Terminate are effective for dealing with bigger threats. The deck is also running a Braid to handle artifacts, and Corpse Explosion as a powerful board wipe. In way of ramp, cards like Foundry Inspector and Slowbad Iron Goblin are good at helping cast our artifact spells, which also works in contrast with Lodestone Golem, which makes non-artifacts for everyone, including our opponents, cost more. And Gadrick the Crown Scourge generates steady value when our creatures die. We're also running traditional ramp, Ornithopter of Paradise, Palladium Myrrh, Cultivate, and a suite of mana rocks on top of our lands, mostly comprised of the artifact lands and affordable tap lands. Altogether, this creates a powerful Ziatora artifact creatures deck that costs only $25 on TCG Player. This deck is honestly more fun than I expected, and surprisingly good at holding its own. I want to do more Battle of Wits going forwards, maybe one a month if I can manage, so if you enjoyed this, maybe give it a like, a comment, and maybe subscribe. It would help the channel out a ton. And until next time, have fun, and I'll see you all then.